DMT Journal. Day 1. Burn it using the foil and 2-liter method. Tasted like gasoline. Never doing DMT again. Day 2. Tried smoking DMT out of a crack pipe. Holy moly, this stuff is amazing. I smoked for a few hours straight, basically breathing DMT instead of air while sitting on my bed. The changes to the world are absolutely mind-blowing. Gaining new perspectives on new dimensions of normal reality. Seeing things through their eyes. I can see my higher dimensional family. Day 3. I sat on my bed smoking it for pretty much 5 hours straight, from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m., and realized how greed is affecting my life. I burnt it a little, and now there is a black mark on my blanket from wiping off the charred bottom of the pipe. Day 4. Finished off my first gram. Starting to understand time as an extra dimension. Hard to put it into words. Saw a lot of geometry, especially pyramids. Everything from thoughts, spoken words, and actions echoes throughout eternity. From here on out, I'm using the Vapor Genie Glass Sherlock. Day 5. I met a very peaceful alien who was meditating. He was speaking to me telepathically. He told me to pay attention and be mindful. Not sure what deeper meaning he had meant at the time. Day 6. I was taken on an Egyptian ship to a higher dimensional city. It was absolutely beautiful, with lots of crimson reds and matte navy blues. I hear the most beautiful sounding voice of my life. She spoke to me about love. Day 7. The same woman who showed me the city showed me the coolest object ever. It was basically this boomerang that you could throw and it would fly out forever, but would still be in your hand. I was supposed to leave my memory at the door when I went to see it, and each time I thought of the boomerang, again the trip would rush back, and it seemed like she was trying to distract me so they could take my memory again. I told her if she wanted me not to bring that memory back to reality, she was going to have to kill me. I knew she wouldn't. Day 8. There was this man in a blue shirt bolting around my room. He was so fast. I think maybe this man knows the woman from before. I get the feeling that people in the higher dimensions somehow use human beings or their thoughts or energy somehow. Day 9. The most beautiful temple with so many beautiful objects. There was this meditating elephant imagery, and I meditated with him. I saw this floating gold bar in my peripheral vision. For some reason, each time I would look at it, the bar would disappear. It was clear as day, however, so I am a bit confused by these phenomena. Day 10. Learned about tolerance, and how to take 3 to 4 big hits right at the start to get maximum effect. I smoked about 40 milligrams while standing up. Just as the DMT was hitting me, it seemed like my inner ear caused my body to assimilate the experience with my normal waking reality. This is definitely how DMT was meant to be smoked. I almost passed out, but it was worth it. I can see everything with crystal clarity. I can see humans, ether, and beings that move through the ether. Day 11. These etheric beings flew up to me and got very close to my face. It was almost like they were examining me. I was very friendly to them. The etheric field is very difficult to describe because it is always changing. I was trying to catch one of the symbols, but as soon as you look at it, the symbol changes. I finally caught the Star of David as one of the few hundred symbols. Day 12. This etheric being came and showed himself in physical form. I was pulling the ether into physical form as he was pushing through from his side. He touched my hand and pulled on it. He wanted me to come with him, and he seemed very persistent. I was way too afraid to move as this whole thing was terrifying, and I am normally very relaxed when interacting with them. Doing so on a physical level was totally different. I heard these little whispers and pockets of air popping when he was breaking through to our world. Day 13. This old man and the man in the blue shirt from before performed some sort of game in front of me. It was fun to watch. I'm a little confused by the purpose of this. Day 14. The etheric being from before told me to pay attention again. He was in etheric form from this time. He said it was very important. Day 15. The woman from before transformed my room into an alien version of it. It was so amazing, and I was freaked out because it was after a crazy trip that I couldn't remember because I went too deep. But the craziest thing about this was that I was back to baseline when she appeared and changed my room. I walked around my room feeling and looking at the objects, and looked at the woman and said, "This is impossible." She responded, "Okay." And suddenly, all the changes to my room seemed to melt and dissipate in an instant. FML. Day 16. The old man came alone this time. He had me tune the etheric field. He had me move it in all directions, and it needed to be in a very specific location. Then he told me to focus on a spot where he placed a purple ball. I focused, and the room slowly collapsed around me and kept shrinking and shrinking until it seemed like I was being crushed by the fabric of reality around me. When it got very small, I heard all three of them, the old man, the woman, and the man in the blue shirt talking. It was very hard to hold everything together while focusing. I was released, and everything went back to normal. They wanted me to try again. Days 17 through 20. They kept having me to try to hold the mental plane and physical plane together again, so they could speak to me in plain English. But it was really hard to focus and exhausting mentally. I was never able to get it again because the whole process takes like 5 minutes, and if you mess up, it resets. Also, if you don't smoke the perfect amount of DMT, it's difficult to see the ether without going too deep and tripping out. Day 21. The old man showed me another performance, probably because I was tired of doing the ether communication thing over and over again. During the performance, I noticed something happening in my peripheral vision. Since looking at that thing happening never works, I tried pointing to it. The old man and the man in the blue shirt got very happy, and I noticed pieces of ether that they were using for the performance disappeared when I pointed out the peripheral vision activity. This was the beginning of a whole new experience. Day 22. I started smoking DMT at the top of every hour because I realized the experiences were just a distraction from the things going on in my peripheral vision. I started writing down the results. The first test I failed because I missed one after getting the first 3. I just assumed there were 3 for some reason. The next time I smoked DMT, I noticed that there was a different higher dimensional being based on the time of day. This made me consider that they might be taking shifts. Day 23. I noticed what seemed to be primates in uniforms taking shifts. The first two were a gorilla and an orangutan. I failed the test I was given, but afterward, it seemed like the gorilla got into an argument with the old man. I'm getting the feeling they are prison guards. There is a lot of subtle imagery pointing to this. Day 24. I started at 12 a.m. because I couldn't stop thinking about the prison. Lots of things were running through my mind. Are humans somehow higher dimensional beings in prison in a simulation of the past? What did I do to deserve being put in prison? The next test was given by a chimp, and I thought I passed, but he cheated and did 2 tests at once. He was trolling me. Day 25. Next time I was given a test by some sort of jester. I finally passed this test and was so excited. The room flooded with color and mental energy. It looked like paint, but it was made of mental energy and ether. The woman and the man in the blue shirt came over and took something out of their heads. I saw a street from their world, and they were clearly reaching downward when they reached into my head. Are humans somehow containers for souls? What are souls? Who did it take out of my head, and why couldn't I go to their world with them? I begged them to take me too, but the man in the blue shirt said, "My work isn't done yet." They are so fast. But I saw a black car parked on the street. I'm so curious to see how fast the cars are in their fast AF world. Day 26. I'm given a test by a sheriff. I passed this test, and in the next few hours, I checked there were no effects. I kept checking with about 30 milligrams each hour for 4 hours until I was given a test by the warden of the prison. He was very intimidating and used the same pattern 4 times in a row, but then he threw in a curveball and had 2 objects change at the same time in my peripheral vision. I chose one and then told him about the other one. I ended up pointing at both. He seemed upset, unlike the rest of the times when I passed, but the ether disappeared after my answers, so I know I passed the test. Day 27. At the start of the trip, I took 2 tests back to back. One from a cop and one from a sheriff from before. I passed them both because I'm starting to get the hang of it. After the 2 tests, it seems like there was some sort of container that was being flown from a sheriff's station to what seemed like the president's house. Day 28. I passed the test at the president's house, and then was flown by helicopter again to what seemed like a family member's house. They clearly knew me and were watching me, as though they wished they could communicate. They gave me one last test at my final destination, and after I passed, they said, "Happy birthday." I'm super confused, but today is December 5th, 2016. So I am sure this date is important. If they were wishing me a happy birthday, it would mean that December 5th is June 6th in their world. So I'm keeping track of both of these dates. Day 29. I am in the same place, but instead of a male family member who seems like he is in his mid-30s, there is an older woman. She also seems to know me. She spent longer examining me than the man did, but I think it could be a family member. Day 30. I was right. I was speaking to a young girl, probably around the age of 5, and she said hello to me through the ether. Then, the father came and showed me another distraction test. They showed me some of their worlds, and I saw very fast people. Specifically, a very fast man and a very fast woman. They seemed to be at work and running around to complete jobs. Day 31. I think whatever is containing the earth, human mind in their world, is portable, so it's no longer as large as the shipping container. It is probably portable because it seems like the father moved me to his office and then back home later that evening, where I spoke to the daughter again and the mother. The mother taught me how to use a mental sphere that looks like a sphere of floating water. Basically, you put your intentions into it, and it will manifest shapes and objects. I said the words, beautiful, flower, and love, and various beautiful objects and shapes manifested in the sphere. Then I was curious as to the opposite effects, and I said hatred. The sphere ignited like a reusable heat pack after the button is pressed, but it happened almost instantly. Thoughts and intentions definitely matter, and our world follows the same laws as their world, just much slower. If you've ever seen the video on how to turn a sphere inside out, they perfectly describe the mathematical laws that govern our worlds. Day 32. More mental sphere work with the mother. Day 33. More mental sphere work with the father. Day 34. Mental sphere work with the mother and daughter. I also caused really awesome phenomena, where a line of ether responded to me flicking my finger through the sphere, which only they could do normally. The mother was very surprised. Day 34. Another ship wants to take me into the city. They told me to leave my memory at the door again, but I tried to sneak it in, and the trip instantly faded. Day 35. A new human woman is here. She is also very fast. She said she is somehow my mother, my father, and she is in love with me. Something tells me she is some sort of feminine creative force incarnation. Day 36. I took one small hit of maybe 10 milligrams. Normally nowhere near enough to have any effect on me. I knelt down on my knees and was very sad. My lungs hurt because I have been smoking too often, and the heat had slowly damaged my lungs. All of a sudden, after a minute or two of contemplation, I was embraced by the woman from last time. I got scared because she embraced me from behind while I was thinking deeply, and she backed off and left. I used mental energy to pull her back, and she came back and embraced me again. Then, I went on the trip of my life to their world. I saw a beautiful palace where servants would serve us food. The floors and walls were made of beautiful marble with many patterns, and embedded in them was a lot of gold. Gold paths, marble fountains, pools, and temples. The servants each came up with their own hallucinatory visions and showed me each of them. Each servant was showing me a different vision of fractals, colors, moving hyperspheres, ever transforming, changing, geometry in a variety of colors, some not even Crayola could name. Afterward, we went back to reality, and I felt much stronger and healthy, both mentally and physically. Day 37. I'm moving to Florida soon, so I try to say goodbye. They said they were going to follow me to Florida and would find me soon. I was pretty happy, and saw the same black car from before, the one that belonged to the first woman and the man in the blue shirt. There was also a servant who got into the car as well, so they must be pretty wealthy. Day 38. I have moved to Florida from now until further notice. The first time I got here, there are 2 twin women, and they are a little on the heavier side. They are very friendly and kind, and also very curious as to my head. Day 39. A scientist or doctor is very interested in my head. I know the beings from my old house were doing some work on it before I left, but I wasn't sure of exactly why or what was going on. They gave me another peripheral vision test at this time, and I wasn't sure if I should pass because these people seemed much more ominous than the beings at my old house. I didn't finish the test. Day 40. The scientist gave another test, and I didn't finish it again. There are these dark ether bugs that I didn't know were bugs in the old location, but they have been a part of every test. I pointed them out, and the beings were always very glad when I caught these dark ether bugs. Day 41. They gave me another test, and I noticed every time I answered a question correctly, they would push this cylindrical tube farther and farther into my head. Each time I got an answer wrong, I would fail the test and cause damage to the ether frame that was involved in processing of moving this cylinder into my head. Day 42 to 47. I'm trying to pass as many tests as I can now because I want to get as much progress on the work they are doing to my brain. The woman who I believe is the feminine creative force finally arrived about a week after I did. I told her about the scientists doing the work, and she said that they are good. And even though I get a very ominous feeling about them, I decided to trust them. I keep working on passing tests. Day 48. I pass another test, and the tube is finally 100% from one side of my brain to the other. It's pretty close to the temples horizontally through my head, at about the same circumference to my temples. Day 49. Whoa! This time, this new doctor, an etheric being, not a human, came and had me sit down on the front of my bed, and he put this large etheric laser device and moved it close to my left eye. He had this device that looked like a sort of trackpad and had me look at this black dot. The laser was very fine, and he used it for about half a second at a time, and used it about 10 times. Then he had me follow the black dot, and when I looked away, he got mad and pulled me mentally back to the dot. I started following the dot on the trackpad as it moved around, up and down and left to right. He used the laser about 10 more times, and I'm pretty sure he was doing this to either clean the tube or repair the damage that I caused when I got a wrong answer during the tests. Day 50. The first scientist that freaked out originally when I had first moved to Florida was telling me that the entire world is at stake. He kept reiterating the entire world. It was rather difficult to understand because it was like he was using the ether to communicate it. And as the ether would tear and rip, it would make sounds to replicate his voice. Unlike when the daughter at my old house spoke with almost crystal clear English. Day 51. The woman who I believe is the creative force, I'll refer to her as Rachel from here on out, because typing all that junk is way too much. She appeared when I dropped my lighter after I took the third hit and handed it to me saying, "You dropped this." I said, "Oh, thanks." I took the lighter from her and turned it to put it away. Then, realized what just happened. Holy shit, that just happened. She picked up my lighter in our world and handed it to me. What the actual fuck just happened? Holy shit. I was standing near my closet and I saw her bend over and pick it up. She is blonde and very pretty. I had no clue that humans from their world could interact with objects in our world. All other times that beings have interacted with this world on a physical level, it was etheric beings, not invisible humans. Also, if I didn't mention it, she was a higher dimensional human. Also, just to reiterate, not a hallucination. I can tell when I am hallucinating and when I am seeing higher dimensional reality. There is a lot of both in DMT, and I can discern the difference, at least as far as the subjective reality goes. Day 52. Rachel and I practiced some stuff inside the mental sphere. She also tugged on my necklace, and I was super freaked out again, but in a really good way. This was so amazing and interesting. I started hanging my necklace on my lamp, so whenever it's moved, I know to smoke and talk to them. I also took a test afterward and passed. I noticed movement inside the right side of my head. Day 53. A human doctor comes this time and has me do a one-question test that was very obvious and easy. She said good and continued doing quite a bit of work on my head. Day 54. I smoke a massive amount of DMT, about 100 milligrams, and there are absolutely no effects. I was so pissed off. It was about 7 a.m., and usually they are very active between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 a.m., so I'm assuming the times from around 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. might be sleeping time in their world. Maybe it's earlier, like 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. Also, they might not need as much sleep as it seems. Day 55. There is this girl with red hair here, and she said she is an assistant of sorts to Rachel. Rachel was also there, but she didn't talk. She just stood while the assistant with red hair talked to me in plain English. She told me they were preparing me for the event, and to stop worrying so much. I had a lot of questions, but she walked away. I followed her a bit, but then she walked through a wall to outside, and I couldn't follow. Day 56. I laid down this time and put my face into my pillow because I was stressed out. This little being that looked like it had its muscles on the outside of its body, about the size of a rabbit, pushed with mental energy to get me to stand up and focus. So I got up, and this etheric gesture gave me a test. I passed it and felt a lot of work being done around my heart, which, to be honest, freaked me TF out. It was as if I had 2 heartbeats for a couple of minutes. Day 57. I started smoking DMT that was stored in a black container, as opposed to blue and purple from before. I have 5 containers in total. I fill each jar, 1 white, 1 black, 1 blue, 1 purple, and 1 pinkish red, with 5 grams each. I started smoking the DMT from the black one, and I noticed a lot of black hues, and the distortion on the things I was seeing was much scarier. Day 58. I had a steak dinner with my family for the first time in years. They were visiting Florida for Disney World, and when I got home and smoked, the worst thing ever happened. The world started filling up with darkness. Thick, pure black, I can only describe as darkness itself, started filling my world. I was thoroughly convinced that this was the event, and that I was gonna die. My muscles seemed to have atrophied during an unusable state. I felt as though my heart stopped beating, and an immense fear came over me. I couldn't help but think a lot of prisoners on death row order steak as the last meal before a lethal injection. Just a thought. I forced myself to get up and walk a few steps. I grabbed my phone to call 911, but set it down, because if it was the event, then it was destiny for me to die. I decided it was okay, and I got on my knees and put my forehead to the ground and embraced the darkness. I saw a figure wearing an outfit made of pure gold with a red outline and black body under the gold armor or outfit. He seemed to be some sort of judge and was a bit intimidating. After he saw me, the darkness of the world around me which had completely swallowed me like Sora in Kingdom Hearts, started to fade back to normality. It took 3 days to understand everything that had just happened. Day 59. When I went to refill my pipe, I decided to swap the tube from the black container with the empty one from the purple container. I cleaned everything and then made the swap. I prayed with it in my hands and let it sit in the purple container for a few hours. When I refilled the pipe, I was given another test, and I noticed a large number of purple hues in the auras of the beings. I took this as a sign and threw away my black container. When I passed the test, they did more work on my heart, and again, it was very unpleasant. This time was actually much more annoying than the last time they worked on my heart. Hopefully, I don't have much more to do. Day 60. More tests given by the doctor/scientist from before. The one who is an etheric being. I passed and they did more work on my heart. Really annoying. I couldn't tell if my heart was beating 100 times a minute, or if I was hallucinating, or if they were doing work on it. It was all very confusing and strange. Day 61. Wild. I had a normal-ish hallucination this time. I felt like I was having a heart attack and laid down on my bed. These higher dimensional beings I have never seen before came and took my body apart, piece by piece, very quickly. After it was just my consciousness left, they put it all back together and put this outfit that resembled the outfit that the Sultan wears in Aladdin, except it had blue and gold weaved into it as well. I meditated on what seemed to be a beach, and then this woman who had worked on rebuilding my body ripped my neck out of my body. It broke off as if it was made of styrofoam. Then she came back and replaced it with another neck. After she ripped it out, I stuck my hand into my neck hole, and my hand went all the way under my head. Obviously, I was freaking the fork out before she got back with the replacement. After this, I faded back to baseline and was sitting on my bed again. Day 62. The jester gave me another test, and when I passed, I saw this heavenly light. Afterward, I got a strange feeling like I was going to meet God. I was shown more ways to manipulate the ether to cause various effects, something I hadn't done since my old house. Day 63. I was given another test by the scientist. I passed 3 and got tired and went to sleep. I showed them the timer on my phone and told them that's when I would wake up. Day 64. Tons of beings are here. Both Rachel and her red-headed assistant, the etheric doctor, a black human nurse, and a white human doctor. They gave me a one-question, really simple test again, and did tons of different work, mostly in my head. Then I asked them some questions, and they basically said, in due time. Day 65. I've cut my DMT use down to once a day. I feel this is optimal for me to choose a good time for both our worlds and optimal for my health. I am smoking between 30 and 50 milligrams of pure white DMT each time. I personally have more fun using yellow, but white is much more clear and easier to interact with these beings. I was given another test today by the ether dude. Passed a few, but I think I wasted too much time. In the beginning, putting away my supplies, so it seemed like it faded quickly. They are much more friendly than normal. Not saying they normally aren't, but ever since I got to Florida, the beings here were nowhere near as friendly and welcoming as the ones in California. I think they are starting to come around to my humor and kindness. Day 66. I see 2 white mice sitting on my bed. Was startled at first, but after I realized they couldn't be from this dimension, I started watching them. Day 67. I didn't smoke today, but I had a vision of the old man from my old house. I think he finally caught up and found me. Day 68. Didn't smoke again. Had various visions much like a DMT experience, but I am completely sober. Very interesting. I also saw this little flying insect-looking creature. It was small and white. Looked like a fly wrapped in a spider's web, but it had wings and was flying sort of like a hummingbird. It started flying away from me, but I pulled it back, and it touched my finger, then flew off. Day 69. I created what seemed like a portal to another world. It looked like heat waves flowing in a vertical rectangle with another world on the other side. The other world looked like a grid of possibilities, and I was way too scared to try to move through it. I'm not even sure if it was a portal or just a window. Day 70. Today they worked on my legs. It was strange as always, but nowhere near as bad as my heart. Afterward, I felt like I saw this monster come and start eating at my body. Things were blurry, so I'm probably wrong. Who knows? Day 71. I smoked like 100 grams today. I felt as though my ego disappeared, and I was more than my physical body. I have felt this before at my old house when I smoked high doses. If I ever die due to DMT, I wouldn't mind. I am really starting to control the flow of time in my mind. If I can perceive everything going on at different times, I can control the past with knowledge of the future, and vice versa. Although the latter might not be as useful. Day 72. They worked on my hands and arms this time. I felt them do a little more work on my eyes and continue. I can't think of any more body parts, so hopefully this process is over soon. Day 73. Smoked some right before class. I think I saw a ghost on my way in. Quite interesting. I waved at it and it seemed confused, but I was in a hurry, so I kept walking. Day 74. Finally made a breakthrough. The mental body mirrors the physical body. My skin was dry after taking a hot shower, and I noticed when I smoked tonight that the mental worlds look very dry. I put lotion on and smoked again, and it cleared up. So far, I figured out that the DMT crystals somehow absorb colors from their surroundings. The mental planes mirror the physical plane. There is some way to cause the physical plane to mirror the mental plane because of the room change that happened at my old house. I can change the temperature of the room by moving the mental planes down. There is some sort of dial in the mental planes for color change, but I haven't been shown how to use it yet. To break a piece of ether, you need to move it in a pattern that breaks the rule stated in How to Turn a Sphere Inside Out video. To increase mental energy, move 2 pieces of ether through each other. There's actually a ton more, but ain't nobody got time to list everything I've learned so far. Day 75. I was shown a beautiful temple, but I couldn't enter further tonight. My main chick said it's because I haven't had enough human contact lately. Makes me mad. Day 76. I hugged a few of my group members during a class project and tried again. made huge breakthroughs, and solved a puzzle that allowed me to access 100% of my brain. I was intentionally rapid-firing experiences and lived 2 lifetimes of experiences, one as an animator and one as a teen who died young. These experiences took place in under 5 minutes. This was the most fun I've ever had by far. Not sure of the effects on my physical body or brain, so I am going to be careful when trying this. Day 77. Saw the perfection of the higher realms. They said to progress further, I must be reborn. I have no idea what this means, but I guess I'll just take a break for a while. Day 78. I can't even begin to describe their world. It's incredible. Some words that come to mind are simple, ticking, fast, precision. Day 79. Wow, I learned a lot today. So the reality is 1000% a program. It is running on some sort of internal clock, counting up to a certain time. This explains the ticking and slow movement I described in the higher dimensional human realm. I'll just call it the HDH realm from now on. If something happens before its planned time, then the system autocorrects. Sometimes it has a hard time correcting certain things, and other times it does these things quickly. I think the time rates thing I described in the comments section on Reddit are some sort of self-correcting program. Also, I learned that the happy birthday thing on December 5th was exactly 1 month from the day I got my DMT molecule tattoo. There are tons of people looking for answers, and I believe DMT can give a deeper insight into the truth. Will we ever get a definitive answer? I have no idea. But the journey to finding out is worth the effort. Also, thank you for all the feedback I am receiving, both negative and positive. It has helped me immensely, and because of all the feedback, I decided to create a Patreon page and make this a full-time thing while I'm going to school. I will be adding art and audio clips and other stuff, so check it out. The link is on my subreddit since it's against the rules to advertise elsewhere. Thank you. Day 80. So I wasn't sure how to put this into words over the past few days. So this time, I guess I will just tell you what I saw in one part and what I think it means in the next. Here goes. 1. I saw a giant guardian angel that looked like this, floating above a giant toroid. Everything I said, the angel would echo to everyone else on Earth. Example, I am wealthy. I am a chain smoker. I am depressed. I am happy. As I looked at any object, the object would fade from my existence as new stimuli would come in and it would flow outward into this toroid. The same thing worked for sounds, thoughts, and any other stimuli from my mind. I also saw these elves running the machine of reality in their world. They were constantly repairing it and breaking it down in other spots. It was quite clear they were maintaining this machine on purpose, and they were quite aware of our world. It somehow produces our reality from sounds and frequencies. Every sound was fractaling out through the toroid and flowing back into itself to create new stimuli, along with observing the current stimuli. I also saw that different people's toroids could flow through each other. Like, if I had back pain flowing through mine, it could somehow leave completely and enter someone else's, as long as it wasn't defined as part of the original reference frame. 2. I personally think this is how artificial intelligence was created in the future. Set a reference frame to make its own decisions based on its current sense of stimuli, and give its output radiate through the toroid and flow back to them. That's why all religions teach you to give what you wish to get. do unto others as you would have them do unto you, etc. I also think this is how the law of attraction works. You are the average of your 5 closest friends. Hang out with better people, and you become better. Their toroids interact with yours and change the things circulating in your own flow of reality. In regards to the back pain thing, you can change your own circulation of the toroid based on what you believe. If you say, I have back pain because I have a cracked disc, then as long as you have a cracked disc, you will be circulating that because your guardian angel is repeating your beliefs infinitely until you tell it to change them. This could explain the power of prayer and lots of other things in a religion. I'm not saying you could just say, I am immortal, and have it happen, but there is clearly a higher self, watching and creating, based on what you choose to do or believe in your life. This could also explain how rich people always have these really great stories of when they were poor and believed in themselves through some sort of adversity. Their GA could have seen the effort they put in and rewarded them. This could also explain magic and other esoteric and new age phenomena, since it would be quite easy to influence someone else's sphere of existence, especially if they weren't aware of what you were doing. Voodoo dolls, curses, etc. The thing is though, it's all the same consciousness fractaling out into different reference frames. Hurting others is literally hurting yourself, even if you can control your own sphere of existence mindfully. Then again, maybe they are just using us as some sort of Rick and Morty battery in a higher dimension. Lol. Also, I'm almost out of DMT. I have like 1 night's worth left and will probably save it, so I might not post for a while until I find a better source in Orlando, Florida. A sitter.